Hello everyone, welcome back to what I'm calling episode 7.5 of my gameplay series for Worldwide Rush. After episode 7, I realized that I needed to spend some time doing route maintenance, including adding vehicles to existing routes and making relatively small changes to those routes. This is less interesting to me than trying to complete tasks and generally expand my network, building new hubs and creating routes to new cities, so I considered doing all of this off camera. On further thought, that felt potentially unfair to viewers, so I decided to make a separate episode focused on just these changes instead. If you are not interested in watching these route changes, feel free to skip ahead to episode 8, which should be available if you are watching this. You won't miss anything important if you skip this episode. Before I go on, I want to thank Memel Games for giving me a copy of their game so I can play it on YouTube, as always. And I want to include my usual reminder that I am playing on the Steam Deck, so there will be slight gameplay differences if you are playing on PC. Finally, while I was editing this video, I discovered that there was a problem with the recording of the game audio for this episode. So unfortunately, there is no game audio in this episode. I apologize for that missing audio. Returning to the route maintenance problem, in the past several episodes I've talked about my problems with route managers, most significantly the bug that leads to them deleting profitable routes. That problem is ongoing, and my solution continues to be to remove hub managers when they delete routes. But this means that I have to manage the expansion of those routes myself, so that is part of what I am doing in this video. Another problem I've been struggling with is that even when the hub managers are doing a good job, some of the routes I've created are not really up to the task of handling the passenger traffic between various cities. So another goal of this episode will be to modify existing routes and create new routes in some cases, with the goal of improving various traffic problems. The big limits on what I will be able to do are that there are only a limited number of vehicles available, so I may run out, and I have a limited amount of money available, and I may run out of money as well. I currently have a new set of tasks, which I'm ignoring for this episode, but I want to make sure I have enough vehicles and money remaining at the end of this episode, so I will be able to complete those tasks at the beginning of the next episode. So I will start in Miami, where I have a hub manager which is causing problems for me. So my first step will be to remove the hub manager, and then check the routes out of Miami. So by default, the list of routes only shows routes in which you have vehicles, but you can change it to include routes that don't currently have any vehicles, and so you can just look for missing routes. Okay, let me change the sorter. That'll make this easier. Okay, so here are the vehicles I currently have that don't have any vehicles on them. Several of these I know about, others are a problem. For example, this route from Miami to Freeport to Nassau, I had a ship running on it and that ship is gone. So the Bahamas are no longer connected to the rest of my network. So it's possible that this route wasn't actually profitable. The problem is that the ship is very slow traveling between all three cities, and when the ship was getting started, there may not have been a lot of passengers to actually carry between all three cities. So it's possible in this case that this route was deleted because it wasn't profitable, but we can see there are lots of passengers in Nassau, there are lots of passengers in Freeport, so we really do need this route to be operating, even if it was initially not profitable. So I'm going to go ahead, and based on the numbers that I was looking at, I'm going to buy a little Explorer on this route. And since this route's actually set up in a triangle, I'm actually going to buy a second little Explorer on this route, and then immediately edit the route for that second Explorer. And the edited route is going to reverse the order in which we visit these three cities. So since it's a cyclic route, I really want to have ships traveling in both directions on this route to make it as easy as possible for passengers to get to their destination in the direction they want to be going in. All right, so that was one missing route from Miami. Let me double check. Again, it's every time you open the window up, you're going to have to tell it to show routes with no vehicles. But looking down the list, we can see another route to Miami, this route from Tampa. This is the one through West Palm Beach. So it's along the eastern coast. And again, if we take a look at this route, we can see there are lots of passengers in each of these cities who want to get to these other cities in this route. And so we really need to have this route available. And generally we have lots of passengers in all of these cities, and we just need better transport to all of these cities. So this route absolutely should be profitable, and I'm assuming it was deleted because it was profitable and the hub manager tried to expand it, and there's nothing to expand it to. Looking at the number of passengers we have, I'm going to go ahead and take the largest vehicle I can, a Sanford. And that should help with traffic between Tampa and these various other cities heading down to Miami. All right, so next, I'm going to come around to the other side of my network. These are hubs where I don't have hub managers. Hidalgo del Parral, we can see now has lots of passengers who want to get to Torreon and Mazatlan and various other places. We can check the routes we have. We have this one route which is going to Mazatlan and stopping on Durango in the way. It only has an Endicott that needs to be bigger. We'll upgrade it. Trying to decide what size vehicle to upgrade to. Wyndham looks pretty good. Let's do it. On the other hand, I'm not really convinced that by itself is going to be enough. I want to add a direct route between Durango and Hidalgo del Parral. This one can afford to be smaller. We'll make this one an Endicott. The issue here is just if you look at the numbers on all of these cities, there are so many passengers from Durango who want to get to various other cities that they just can't get there right now. And so adding an additional route will help with that problem. So then the other route we have operating that stops in Hidalgo del Parral is this one that goes to Monterrey, passing through Torreon on the way. Just showing again the issue here. We have 48 passengers currently in Mazatlan. We have 40 passengers in Durango. Most of the passengers in Durango just want to go to Hidalgo del Parral. So if we don't have that direct route, they end up getting blocked by the passengers who are going to Mazatlan. And so looking in the other direction, we have kind of the same problem, right? We have this route which is stopping in Torreon and Monterrey. There are so many passengers who just want to travel between Hidalgo del Parral and Torreon that they can't really do it because the existing route is taking them all of them is taking passengers between Hidalgo del Parral and Monterrey instead. So the first thing I'm going to do is again upgrade one of the vehicles on the existing route. And then I'm also going to create a new route directly between Hidalgo del Parral and Torreon. And again, we'll start with the Frontier Endicott. All right, and that's probably enough additional transport there, so we can move on to our next city, Monterey. Again, the problem is there's no hub manager, so things haven't been expanding correctly. So we want to check the various routes that we have. One problem that we have with this route going through Monterey is this route that I created from Mexico City, and by zooming out we can see what the problem is. The route as I've created it is going to the cities in the wrong order. I had added Atlanta immediately after Mexico City and then filled in the cities that were supposed to go between Mexico City and Atlanta. Unfortunately, I forgot to put Atlanta in its correct place. So I'm going to do that right now. And so I've now edited that route so it makes sense. The problem with editing a route like this is that any vehicles which are currently on that route are automatically returned to the first city on the route. And if they're currently carrying passengers, you have to refund the entire ticket price for all of those passengers. And in this case, that's quite expensive. But the route as created makes no sense, so I have to make this change. All right, so that route makes a lot more sense now. Hopefully it will improve the ability of passengers to get between Atlanta and Mexico City and all of those other cities on the way. Just checking, we can see Atlanta currently has 274 passengers who want to get to Mexico City. So coming back to the route, which is now stopping in the correct places, we need a lot more transit on this route. So I'm going to go ahead and add a Sanford to this route as well. All right, so what will be next? Come back to Monterey, look at more options here. So I created this route which is connecting Monterey to Laredo. And I realized that what is happening at this point is I have another route which is connecting Laredo to Houston. And I'm sort of depending on these two different routes to get passengers from Houston to Monterey and back. And I've realized I don't actually want that to function that way. I want to have this route actually going between the two hubs. So what I'm going to do is edit the route from Monterey to Laredo to stop in San Antonio and Houston. Again, since I'm editing the route, I have to pay for the tickets for all the passengers who are currently in that bus. And that bus will be relaunching from Monterey in a moment. And on the other side, I have a route from Houston to Laredo, which currently has 101 passengers who want to get to Monterey. So find that route. There it is, Laredo to Houston. Tons of vehicles on this route. Currently, there are tons of passengers who are able to get to Laredo from Houston. They can't get further than that. And so, again, I want to edit this route, change all the vehicles on this route. And after they go to Laredo, we want them to go to Monterey, but I'm going to reverse the order a second time so they actually start in Monterey. And in order to have them start in Monterey, we really want the hub for all of these vehicles to be Monterey. So we need to expand the hub, which costs money, and then also refund the tickets for all the passengers who are currently on that route, which is even more money. This is why I said at the beginning that I was worried about running out of money before I'm able to make all the changes that I want to make. All right, so that should improve the ability of passengers to get between Monterey and Laredo. I should also have a direct route from Monterey to Dallas, which I haven't had up to this point. So I'm just going to go ahead and create that route with stops along the way and start it off with a Wyndham. And that looks good. And the other route that I wanted to look at was this route that I have going from Mexico City to Chicago. And so Chicago's actually doing okay for delivering passengers to Mexico City. Let me go find the route. There it is, Mexico City to Chicago. We can see the cities that it's stopping in. It's stopping in Dallas and Memphis are actually my big concerns at this point. And we can see, again, hundreds of passengers in Memphis who are trying to get to Mexico City. And right now, the only vehicle we have is an Endicott. That's clearly not enough. So, what are my options? I'm now facing the problem that I'm starting to run out of vehicles. I only have the one Sanford available, but I think it's what I need, is just looking at the numbers. So we'll go ahead and get that. So at this point, I'm doing my best to expand all of these routes, but I'm constrained by the number of vehicles that I have. So I'm worried that the changes I'm making aren't really going to be enough. So let's check the other routes we have. We have this route from Monterey to Leon. And we also have this other route from Monterey to Leon, which is going through these two additional cities, Querétaro City and Irapuato. And so let's look at how many passengers we have in each of these cities. Leon has 22 passengers who want to go to Irapuato. Irapuato currently has 45 passengers, I guess that was. Querétaro has even more. So again, this single van, this single Endicott isn't going to be enough. I'll go ahead and get a Wyndham. All right, so that is most of the routes from Monterey. There's one more to look at, this route to Ciudad Victoria. The interesting thing about this route is if you look at the number of passengers we have to carry, it's quite small, in fact. And so we're currently only carrying 7 passengers. And this vehicle has not been profitable, so I'm actually going to downgrade this vehicle from a Powell to an Elbert. And so, having downgraded the vehicle, it should be profitable going forward. One of the few cases where the vehicle that I initially added to the route is actually losing money, and so it makes sense to downgrade. And the other thing to look at is I currently have 35 passengers who want to get to Ciudad Acuña from Monterey. And so they can get there right now by taking one of these routes, which is going to stop in San Antonio and then head from San Antonio to Ciudad Acuña on a route coming through San Antonio. But looking at it, I think I want to do better than that. Because not only do I have many passengers who want to go to Ciudad Acuña, I also have many passengers who want to be coming to Torreon from Ciudad Acuña. And I also have many passengers from Ciudad Acuña who want to go to Laredo. So I think my solution is to add a new route, which is just going to stop at Ciudad Acuña, Laredo, and Monterey. And that should help with all those passengers. And I'm going to guess that the Frontier Endicott's going to be big enough for that. This all involves a certain amount of guesswork, right? Because I'm doing everything while the game is paused. So I'm making these changes. I don't know how significant these changes are actually going to be, if I'm actually doing enough. But I'm going to trust that I am doing enough, or at least as much as I can, given the number of changes I want to be making. And move on to the next city, which is Houston. Houston has a hub manager, which seems to be doing an okay job. So the problem here is more really that some of the routes I've created aren't really working. We have the 101 passengers who want to get to Monterey. That should be improved. We have 73 who want to get to Atlanta. One of the routes that I want to look at is this route, which is connecting along sort of the coast, connecting to these various cities up to Baton Rouge right now, and looking at the number of passengers that each of these cities has that wants to go to various places. Realize that this route, Houston to Baton Rouge, isn't really stopping where it needs to be stopping. I really need to be going hub to hub. So I'm going to edit this route, just add Jackson at the end of this route. Again, I have to refund all my tickets to all the passengers who are currently on this route. And all of these vehicles will be restarting from Houston, which doesn't necessarily mean these vehicles are in the right place to begin with. So there's the possibility that when I do restart the game, I'm going to lose money on some of these routes. But I have to do this. So these are just the expenses that I have. Another thing that I wanted to look at is College Station. Right now, the only way you can get from College Station to Houston is on this route, which is coming from Dallas. But we can see there are lots of passengers who want to go directly between Houston and College Station. So I'm going to add a direct route. Again, the question is, what size vehicle do I want to be using? I think actually I'm going to step down and get the Frontier Powell for this one. The two cities are close enough together that the Powell can travel back and forth between them quickly and should be able to help a lot with the passengers. Another city that I'm looking at, which is connected to Houston, is Corpus Christi. Right now, the only way you can get to Corpus Christi is on this route, which is extending all the way down to Matamoros, and is also passing through San Antonio. Just looking at numbers, it can't keep up. I'm going to add a direct route from Corpus Christi to Houston. Again, we're going to try the Powell. We're going to hope it's big enough. If it's not, since we have the route manager in Houston, hopefully the route manager will expand this route when it's needed. So just checking around, what else am I thinking about? What else do I have? What else do I need? Just double checking. Okay, so I extended the route through Port Arthur further, but we still have these 67 passengers who want to get directly from Port Arthur to Houston. So again, let me make that easier. Let me add a direct route between Port Arthur and Houston with no additional stops. And again, they're very close together, so the Powell is probably big enough. And what other was I thinking about for Houston? Oh, okay, so this is something else. I have three very large hubs, Memphis, Atlanta, and Cookeville. Memphis is by far the largest. And that's causing a problem for me because the larger the hub is, the more expensive it is to expand that hub. And so the hub manager in Memphis keeps trying to expand that hub, but it costs so much money that I would really prefer that vehicles which are currently starting in Memphis or various other large hubs are actually starting from other hubs. So the vehicles are operating out of these smaller hubs so it's less expensive to operate them. So what I'm going to do is we'll take a look at this route, Houston to Atlanta, or Atlanta to Houston, right? Because of the order that it's in, the hub for this route is Atlanta. Usually the hub is the first city that has a hub that's on the route. So I'm going to reverse the order of that route, because usually the hub for a particular route is the first city on the route which has a hub available. So if I put Houston first, all of those vehicles which had previously been operating out of Atlanta are now operating out of Houston. That frees up space in Atlanta, which means that it will be easier for that hub manager to add vehicles to that hub in the future. All right, so the next thing to look at is going to be Dallas. Just cycling through the hubs. Again, look at Dallas. We want to look at the cities that are connecting to Dallas, try to figure out what problems that we have. A big issue that we have with Dallas is that we have currently 187 passengers in Lafayette who want to get to Dallas, and there are also 125 passengers in Lafayette that want to get to Shreveport. Meanwhile, Shreveport has 220 passengers who want to get to Dallas. We do currently have a route between all of these cities, this route from Dallas to Baton Rouge. It's clearly not actually keeping up. And so my solution is going to, again, add some direct routes. We'll have a direct route from Shreveport to Dallas. Looking at the numbers, we want a relatively larger vehicle this time around. Or except, again, counting the number of vehicles that I have, we'll go with the Powell and hope that that'll be enough. Shreveport's close enough that it should get back and forth quickly. On this longer route from Lafayette to Dallas, yeah, we'll get the Endicott on this one. So it'll carry more passengers per trip. It'll take fewer trips because it has further to go. Other cities I'm concerned about that are connected to Dallas. Wichita Falls is a big one. We have 60 passengers wanting to go to Houston. We have 58 who want to go to Austin. We don't actually have a direct way to get to Austin from Wichita Falls at this point. We can see we also have a ton of passengers in Austin who want to get to Wichita Falls. So we're not doing a very good job of getting passengers between any of these cities. I should work on improving that. So what I will do is just add this route, which is connecting Austin and Wichita Falls. It has to go through hubs, so it'll also stop in Dallas. And again, this game of how big a vehicle do I think I need versus how many vehicles do I have available. Let's go ahead and get the Wyndham. Let's do it. All right. So what's next on my list? I created this route from Monterey to Dallas earlier. I realized it did not stop in Austin. I had it stop in Laredo and San Antonio, and I just missed the fact that Austin is on the way. Let me go ahead and make it stop in Austin as well. And then we want to make sure it stops in Austin before it gets to Dallas so that the order that it's traveling in makes sense. And there's no additional cost for this because I just created this route so that bus hasn't had an opportunity to pick up any passengers yet. So that will help the traffic to and from Austin as well. Okay, I think that's what I need for Dallas. So we can just keep looking. Our next hub is Ardmore. And if we look at the routes that are connected to Ardmore right now, all right, we have this route from Ardmore to Memphis, stopping in Dallas and Little Rock along the way. I want to double check, where does it think the hub for this route is right now? It thinks the hub for this route is Dallas. I want to check, do the individual buses on this route agree? All right, no, you're saying that this bus is operating out of Memphis. All right, I want to make sure that all of these buses are not operating out of Memphis because, again, the Memphis hub is expensive, and if I can have these buses operating out of a different hub, that's effectively saving me money in the future. So, again, trying to work out how to do this. So the problem here is the Ardmore hub is basically at capacity. I want to be moving a lot of vehicles over to this Ardmore hub, so I have to expand the Ardmore hub first. Otherwise, when I try to make this edit, it won't actually help. So right now, the route is saying that the hub is in Ardmore, but it's not really true. Most of the vehicles on this route really are operating out of the Memphis hub. So what I'm going to do is delete Memphis from this route just for a moment. That will force all of the vehicles to really be operating out of the Ardmore hub. We can take a look at the route and see that it now shows the hub as being in Ardmore. And now that I've made that change, I can go ahead and put Memphis back at the end of the route because all those vehicles are now based out of Ardmore, and adding hubs at the end of the route won't change that. Again, doing that was fairly expensive because we lost all the passengers on all of those routes, but if we check some of these vehicles, we can see, yes, they are now operating out of Ardmore rather than operating out of Memphis. All right, so just looking around, Ardmore is connected to several other cities. Are there other routes that I want to change? We have this route from Ardmore to Atlanta. The question is, where is the hub for this route? Again, it turns out to be Memphis, weirdly enough. The Ardmore hub was probably full when I created this route, and so it put the vehicle in the first hub that was available, which was Memphis. We want to make sure it's Atlanta, or we want to make sure it's Ardmore instead. So I'm going to delete Memphis from this route. Again, take the hit for the passenger tickets. It's now correctly starting in Ardmore. So we can put Memphis back in. Again, make sure we get the order correct. All right, looks good. And my concern is both the number of vehicles that I have and the amount of money that I have to spend. Turns out changing which hub routes are operating out of can be very expensive, and so I'm actually going through my money fairly quickly, unfortunately. But we're going to continue with this process. The next city that we're interested in is going to be Jackson. We have some more substantial problems with Jackson. We can see the number of passengers who want to get to Washington, the number of passengers who want to get to Atlanta is quite high. I'm not going to deal with that right now. I'm going to focus on the local changes. And so one thing to look at is Baton Rouge. And specifically Baton Rouge and New Orleans. Right now, I only have 5 passengers who want to get from Baton Rouge to New Orleans, but you can see on the map that they can't actually get directly between those two cities. The only way to get from Baton Rouge to New Orleans right now is to go through Jackson. And so I want to add just a direct route. I want to simplify that because I know that there are a significant number of passengers who do go through that route. So what I'm going to do is just add this bus, which is connecting Jackson to Baton Rouge to New Orleans, just to give another route from Jackson to New Orleans, but also to give that direct route between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. And it turns out, this is a surprise, there's an additional road that I can build out to directly connect Baton Rouge and New Orleans. Might as well, it's not very expensive. So we'll create that new route and create that new road as well. All right, so what next for Jackson? And check my hub, check the current size of the hub. We're currently at 27 out of 28 possible vehicles, so we can expand this hub. We can add one more vehicle to this hub right now without expanding the hub first. So I want to look at this Greenville to Memphis route. And this route was created going from Greenville through Jackson to Memphis. It was created fairly early on. I'm not sure where the vehicles on the route are based out of. I'm just checking my routes, make sure that I'm looking at the ones that I need to be doing something with. We have this route from Columbus to Jackson. Yeah, so I want to change that route, the one that I was just looking at. I'm realizing I'm going through my funds fast enough. I need to do other stuff first and make sure I don't run out of money. So this is another case. It was like that route out of Houston, which I extended to Jackson. This is a route out of Jackson, which is getting close to Atlanta and doesn't actually get there. And so it's going to improve all of my passenger traffic if this route actually does get to Atlanta. We can see, just looking at these individual cities, okay, so Columbus is doing pretty well. It has small numbers of passengers who want to go to lots of places. I'm not really worried about that. But Jackson has lots of passengers who want to get to Atlanta. We can see those passengers are coming from lots of different places. We do have some direct routes from Jackson to Atlanta. Having more would be better. So again, I want to make sure Jackson is the first city on the route, so I'm going to reverse the direction. Again, take the hit for the current passenger tickets and then add Atlanta at the end. I'm going to check what else do I want to be doing with Jackson? What else do I need? Again, checking all of the existing routes. I have this train which is going between Cookeville and Jackson, currently based out of Cookeville. It's skipping Birmingham for no good reason. Meanwhile, Birmingham has lots of passengers who want to go to lots of places. The 120 who want to go to Gadsden, that's on this train route if Birmingham was on this train route. So again, when I created this train route, I think I just missed that I really wanted to be stopping in Birmingham. So let's go ahead and add Birmingham to this route. Make sure we're putting it in the right place. We don't really want it at the end. We want it between Meridian and Gadsden. There we go. And have to refund some passenger tickets, surprisingly few. And so we'll go ahead and make that change. And we can see that the hub for this train is actually Jackson, which is actually where we want it to be, because Cookeville is a large hub, Jackson is a smaller hub. So that's actually working out well for us. All right, I think we're done with Jackson. So the next hub on my list will come up to the west and take a look at Salina. This hub does not have a hub manager, so I have to check pretty much all of the routes to make sure they're big enough. We can see we have lots of passengers who want to go to lots of places. Oklahoma City is a problem. We have lots of passengers in Oklahoma City who want to go to Salina. They also want to go to Wichita. So we want to try to improve this. Right now, we have this direct route between Wichita and Salina. We have this route from Salina to Ardmore, which stops in Oklahoma City as well, but we don't have a direct route from Salina to Oklahoma City that doesn't stop anywhere else. So I think I need one. Let's go ahead and create that. Again, starting with the Endicott, we need to upgrade the hub in Salina. That's fine. The Endicott is a little bit small. I think I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and create this. It says there are no passengers between those cities, but obviously passengers are stopping in Oklahoma City to get to Salina. We can see that they're mostly coming from Enid and Ardmore. So maybe I should be doing something about Enid instead. I don't think I actually have to worry about it. I think I want to focus on other connections to Salina. We have Norfolk, two different vehicles through Norfolk. We have this one going through Grand Island to Salina. It only has an Endicott. It's clearly not big enough. Let's upgrade it. Where else do I need more vehicles for Salina? Where else do I need bigger vehicles for Salina? Or new vehicles for Salina? All right, so we have this one vehicle which is going through Norfolk and Grand Island to Salina. We have this other which is going through North Platte to Omaha. And then this direct route between Salina and Grand Island. We have a bunch of vehicles on this route. I think I need to have this one going to Omaha as well. I need a better connection from Salina to Omaha. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, have to pay for the passenger refunds. And I think that's it for Salina, maybe. All right, we have this North Platte. Yeah, let's look at North Platte to Omaha. It has a direct route. Passengers aren't getting there. Passengers also aren't getting from North Platte to Grand Island. We have this route which is connecting all of these. It currently has a foraker. It's pretty clearly not getting the job done by itself. So the question is, what should I do about it? I think my answer actually is going to be to create another new route, which is going to go from North Platte through Grand Island and Norfolk to Omaha. And I'm just constrained by the number of vehicles that I have. It's going to have to be an Endicott. But this should help with getting passengers to and from Omaha. And then we also have Lincoln. And again, Lincoln needs a better connection to Omaha, so let's just go ahead and do that. Again, this is a case of they're right next to each other. We'll start small with this Powell. All right, so I've really been looking at this Omaha hub. Let me actually bring it up so we can see what we're doing. All right, let me put the panel over on the other side of the screen. So we do have the hub manager in Omaha. It should be doing its job. I'm not aware of it causing problems right now, but we're still not actually keeping up. We have this route from Omaha to Eau Claire. We only have an Antero on it. Which is, you can see it's just not big enough. There's so many passengers at all of these cities who want to be getting to different places. I mean, even granted that we can't even get to St. Cloud right now. There are 60 who want to get to Cedar Rapids from Eau Claire. So I really need to be doing better here. So let me upgrade the Antero. It's recommending upgrading to a foraker. Okay, it's recommending an upgrade, which I can't actually do. Can we do a Stanford? Nope, can't do a Stanford either. All right. We'll have to do a Wyndham. All right, you know what? Rather than upgrade, I'm actually just going to buy a new Wyndham. I'm going to want both because the Wyndham by itself isn't going to be enough. So there we go. All right, so again, thinking, what other routes out of Omaha do I have that are causing problems? So going to the east, we're going to Des Moines. See, lots of passengers, and then to Cedar Rapids. And it has 60 passengers who want to get to Eau Claire. So this is kind of in Omaha's orbit. We want to be able to get between Cedar Rapids and Omaha more effectively. So we'll add another route. And I'm really being constrained by the number of vehicles that I have. So I'll just take an Endicott. And the other route coming in this direction, I have this route from Omaha to Davenport. And again, this idea of, I've done this a couple of times, I want to be going from hub to hub, even though Chicago isn't my hub, having a connection directly to Chicago will help, right? We have 120 passengers in Davenport who want to get to Madison. I can do something about that. The 51 passengers who want to get to Washington, if I can get them to Chicago instead, that's an improvement. So I want to take this route, which is currently stopping in Davenport and having it continue to Chicago. And again, we have to take the hit on the current passengers, but it should pay for itself pretty quickly. All right, our next hub is going to be Rolla. Again, Rolla is one of the hubs where I've removed the hub manager, so there are many problems. So, starting with just 84 passengers who currently want to get to Cedar Rapids. We can see on this route north, huge number of passengers in every city between Rolla and Cedar Rapids. Our current transportation just is not keeping up at all. So Cedar Rapids just has the two vehicles right now, the one I just created, and then this route from Rolla to Cedar Rapids. It has a 4-acre on it right now. It's clearly not enough. Let me add a Wyndham. Probably still not enough, but I'm running out of vehicles. And then the other side of this is, right now the only way to get from Rolla to any of these cities involves stopping everywhere. So I'm going to add a couple of more direct routes. We'll do Hannibal directly to Rolla. And we'll take the last Endicott. And we'll also do Ottumwa to Hannibal and Rolla. There are lots of passengers who want to go between Ottumwa and Hannibal, and they just can't get there effectively at this point. And so since we're out of the Endicotts, we'll swap down. Slightly less expensive, still going through money fast, to the Antero. And we will do Rolla to Columbia and Ottumwa. Again, looked at where I actually have passengers who want to go and what seems like it'll do the most good. All right, to do this one, I have to expand the hub in Rolla. But I need to increase my passenger flow between these cities. This will pay off. All right, and at this point, I've actually spent more money than I intended to spend. I was hoping to keep around $6 million for the start of the next episode, and I'm already below that. So, just thinking, what do I need to do right now? Is Rolla good enough at this point? Can I stop here, or should I make some more changes? We have this route from Rolla to Springfield and Fayetteville, which looks like it's struggling. Here we are. It just has a Gannett on it. I must need more vehicles. Let me go ahead and add something. Is that right? Okay, no, I also have this other Rolla to Fayetteville. Okay, yeah. Have this one vehicle. Clearly not enough. Let me take an Antero because that's what's available at this point. All right, so the other thing I was thinking of as I'm looking at these various cities that I'm connected to is I have this route from Rolla to Davenport. And again, let me, rather than stop in Davenport, have this route also continue into Chicago. And right now I only have a single Antero on it. Let me add another Antero because that's the vehicle that's available at this point. All right, there's more that I want to be doing, but I'm out of money. I've spent more money than I intended to. So I think I really have to stop here. There are more routes that I want to expand out of Rolla. There are other changes I wanted to be making. I wanted to be making more changes to my routes to some of my other hubs. And then there are the various hubs on the east half of the map, which I haven't been able to touch at all. But right now I only have a little over $5 million, and I know I have these other things that I want to do. Still have the maximum loan available. Can't take out more money. And so I'm just checking my balance, thinking about what I want to be doing, what I can be doing. And I think I have to stop here so that I will be able to do what I want to do in the next episode. So with that, this is where I say like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.